The US dollar has lost 97% of its purchasing power since 1913, and the next 3 years could be the worst yet. Central banks are quietly dumping dollars and loading up on something else entirely. If you don't know what they're buying and why, you're going to be left holding the bag. Stay with me, because what I'm about to show you isn't crypto, and it's not what any mainstream financial advisor is telling you. Here's what this video is going to do for you. We're going to walk through exactly what's happening to the purchasing power of the US dollar, why 3 specific hard assets have historically outperformed cash during these periods, and what realistic steps, even on a modest income, look like in practice. Stay through to the end, because the third asset on this list is the one most people completely overlook, and it may be the most accessible one of all. Let's clear something up immediately, because this phrase gets misused constantly. The dollar isn't going to zero tomorrow. It's not being replaced by a one world currency next Tuesday. What's actually happening is slower, quieter, and in some ways more dangerous, because most people don't notice it until it's already cost them years of financial progress. Since 2000, the US dollar has lost roughly 40% of its purchasing power. That means $100 today buys what $60 bought at the turn of the century. The dollar still works, it just works less. And here's the part that should concern you. The federal government currently carries over $34 trillion in debt. To service that debt, one of the most reliable tools historically has been inflation, essentially allowing the currency to weaken over time, so the debt becomes cheaper to repay in real terms. That's not political commentary. That's how monetary systems have functioned throughout history, across dozens of countries. And assets, physical, tangible things, are how ordinary people have protected themselves every single time. Asset number 1, gold and silver. Let's talk about gold. And before you say, that's for paranoid people with bunkers, hear this out. Gold has maintained its purchasing power for over 5,000 years. In 1971, when President Nixon ended the dollar's direct link to gold, an ounce of gold was worth around $35. Today, that same ounce is worth over $2,000. The gold didn't change, the dollar did. Now, the common mistake people make with gold is treating it like a get-rich-quick investment. It's not. Gold doesn't pay dividends, it doesn't grow a business. What it does is hold value when paper currency weakens, which makes it less of an investment and more of an insurance policy. The simple action here is straightforward. Financial advisors who specialize in wealth preservation often recommend somewhere between 5 and 15% of a portfolio in precious metals. For someone with $50,000 saved, that's $2,500 to $7,500 in physical gold or silver, not a mining stock, not a paper certificate, but something you can hold. Silver, for most working Americans, is actually the more accessible entry point. You can buy 1 ounce of silver today for under $30. Small, consistent purchases over time. That's the approach that builds a real position. Here's a question worth sitting with. If inflation averages just 4% per year for the next decade, $100,000 in a standard savings account becomes worth roughly $67,000 in today's purchasing power. You didn't spend it, you didn't lose it in the market. It just quietly eroded while sitting still. Asset number 2, real estate, done the right way. Real estate is the hard asset most Americans already understand intuitively, but many approach it incorrectly. The common mistake is waiting for the perfect time to buy. People spent the entire decade of the 2010s waiting for housing prices to drop back to 2008 levels. They never did, and the people who bought anyway, even at prices that felt high, built significant equity over the following years. Here's the hidden truth about real estate during inflationary periods. Your mortgage payment stays fixed while the value of the asset, and rental income, if applicable, tends to rise alongside inflation. You borrowed $200,000 at today's dollars. In 15 years, you're repaying that loan in dollars that are worth less. The bank absorbs part of the inflation. You don't. Now, not everyone can buy a second property. That's real, but real estate doesn't have to mean a rental home. REITs, real estate investment trusts, allow you to invest in income-producing real estate through a standard brokerage account, sometimes starting with as little as a few $100s. They're not identical to owning physical property, but they respond to similar economic forces. The simple action, if you own your home, focus on building equity and resisting the urge to continuously refinance cash out. If you don't, explore what a starter property looks like in your market, or begin with a REIT position while you save toward a down payment. Asset number 3, productive skills and income streams. This is the one most people don't see coming, and it's arguably the most powerful asset on this list, because no government policy, no inflation rate, and no market crash can take it away from you. Your ability to generate income is a hard asset. Think about what happened during the 2008 financial crisis. People who had a single income stream, a job, were devastated when that stream was cut. People who had developed a second or third source of income, a skill they could freelance, a small service business, knowledge others would pay for, had something to fall back on. And in many cases, they recovered faster and ended up stronger. The hidden truth is that in an era of dollar uncertainty, the people who are most protected aren't just the ones with gold bars in a safe. They're the ones who can earn in multiple ways, who have skills that translate to value, regardless of what the currency does. The simple action here is to ask yourself one honest question. If your primary income disappeared tomorrow, what could you do within 60 days to start generating money again? If you have a clear answer, build it. If you don't have a clear answer, that's your assignment. A second income stream of even $500 a month, invested consistently over 10 years, becomes something significant. At a 7% average annual return, that's over $80,000. That's not a theory. That's a financial calculator. If this gave you a clearer picture of where things are heading, and more importantly, what you can actually do about it, the logical next step is to understand how to evaluate your current financial position against inflation, what's actually protected, what's quietly exposed. That's exactly what the next video covers.